Welcome. Hello, hello. Welcome, everybody. I am Ryan Robinson. I'm one of the co-founders here at Right Blogger. I'm joined with my co-founder, Andy Felicotti. Andy, what's going on in your world today?
Hi, I'm Andy. Not much. I do have the video feed up, so I'm hearing myself right now. But other than that, everything's going really good.
It would not
There we
be a
go.
live stream without
We're fixed.
some funny technical difficulties of some sort. This is honestly pretty good so far. Usually I'm not sure when I've even gone live, so we're making great steps here. Nice. Well, I want to say thank you to everyone who's joining us here today and for everyone who's catching this as a recording. I know I got tons of emails, dozens of people that weren't going to be able to join us live and they wanted to catch the recording. So thank you as well for tuning in. But I'd love to hear for all of y'all that are live, where are you watching us from today? Andy, where are you at?
I'm in St. Louis, Missouri. And it's 95 degrees here, so good day to be inside with the AC.
There we go.
I
Nice.
see we have Lisa and Mark in the chat.
Oh, nice. Lisa, Mark. Yeah. Good to see two of our regulars. We love you guys. Welcome, welcome. I'm tuning in today. I'm in Colorado right now. I just got back last week from spending almost 2 months in Spain on mostly vacation time, which was really, really nice. I've never done like a proper summer vacation for myself since I was a kid in school, so it felt very like freeing to me.
That's why
Grateful
you
for
haven't
that.
gotten any. That's why you all haven't gotten many emails from Ryan.
That's it. That's why the content's been a little bit slower than usual. I haven't gone live in a couple of months. I know this is like the getting back in the saddle story right now, but I'm glad to be here. And I want to just say thank you to everyone who always sends us so many good pieces of feedback, tool ideas. Keep them coming. We learn the most from our customers and from the people like you who are using our tools. So thank you. And our focus for the conversation today and why I wanted to bring Andy in is because Andy's the one who builds all of this stuff behind the scenes. He is the
What can I
number one
say?
person to give product feedback to. So as you see, if you're in the chat there, if you have questions, if you have feedback you guys want to share, there's no wrong time to interject or to ask some questions. Please ask anytime you've got them. Ask away, and we will definitely be reserving some time for Q&A towards the end of our session. But if we see something good come up, we're going to pull that question onto the screen and we will try and answer it as close to real time as possible, as long as we don't get too many questions. But Q&A session at the end, you can count on that for sure. And without further ado, Andy, do you want to add anything else before we dive into our tool SEO topic today?
I don't think I can add anything with how great you just introduced this. So yeah, I'm excited to see what everyone's reaction is, and I hope everyone got a chance to try SEO reports. But hey, if you haven't yet, this is a great way to learn about it. So yeah, Ryan's going to be the ultimate guide here to SEO reports in Right Blogger. So let's check it out.
Yeah, cool. So thank you all. Also, there is a video that we just recently published a few days ago. I sent an email out. If you're on the Right Blogger email list, if you have an account with us, you will have gotten that video where we give a quick tour to using the SEO reports. And what we're going to do today is we're going to do a bit more of a deep dive, and we're going to take your questions too. I want to make sure that we answer any questions you guys have related to using SEO reports, because there's kind of a lot going on here. So let's just start by showing a quick overview here. I've got my screen up. Andy, you've got my screen, right? That's showing
Yes,
correctly?
I'm on top of it all. Don't worry.
Cool. Andy's running the show behind the scenes. He knows what we're doing. I'm just going to do my thing and talk. So please ask away anytime you guys have questions. But what I want to show you real quick, first and foremost, in order to use SEO reports, you will need a Right Blogger Pro subscription. This is not a feature that's available on free plans, because we've done so much inside of these SEO reports that requires a lot of different data pieces being connected and analyses that we're showing you guys. So this is something that we do have to reserve for our Pro and Up plans. And on that note, I just want to show you real quick what exactly Right Blogger Pro even is, right? So As many of you know, we have free accounts, which you can use up to 2,000 words monthly. And it's a relatively fully featured free trial plan on WriteBlogger. But after you've tested things out and you figured out, okay, hey, this is something I want to really, be serious about, you unlock unlimited usage to all of our tools inside WriteBlogger, including the article writer tool, the video to blog tool. Everything that has an editor inside of it has SEO reports now. And on the pro plan, you'll have 5 SEO reports that you can use. So that gives you access to more than one blog post a week on average, which is what we see a lot of bloggers, marketers publishing frequency on that sort of a range, one-ish a week. So we've set that one at 5 SEO reports. And then when you want to upgrade to the business plan, this is a brand new plan we just rolled out recently. This is where you unlock the full spectrum of as much SEO reports as you'll probably ever need to use, 25 a month. And then you'll also get 25 tool embeds, 25 projects. Really, this is for everyone who's taking their blog very seriously. The blog powers some sort of business, or you're a high growth marketing team. That's kind of who these are for. And without any more delay, let's talk about SEO reports. Now, as I said earlier, Andy built SEO reports to be functional inside any WriteBlogger tool that has an editor. So the AI article writer, the video to blog tool, the rewriter tool, the paragraph writer tool, all these tools have the editor functionality here inside of it. And you'll now be able to generate SEO reports against that content. And the goal of SEO reports in the first place is to see exactly how well optimized your content is for ranking near the top of organic search. And using this example article that I just generated today on the topic of LLM SEO, how to rank near the top, be a recommended cited source inside LLMs like ChatGPT, Claude, Gemini, I wanted to see how this is doing. So when I want to activate an SEO report, I'll click the little button here that says Show SEO Report. And if you haven't yet created an SEO report, this is the first screen you're going to get. You're going to have to type in the target keyword phrase. This is the keyword phrase that you want your content to rank for, right? So ideally, on the topic of LLM SEO, I want this article to rank #1 for anyone who searches on Google LLM SEO. And I want to become a recommended cited source on the LLMs like ChatGPT whenever people are searching, asking help, trying to figure out how they can do a better job of LLM SEO on the LLMs themselves, right? A lot of people are going to be asking ChatGPT, how do I get ranked? How do I get recommended? How do I become a source on these AI platforms? And so the goal of this article is to show you exactly that. Now, when you're getting started, you'll want to just type in your primary target keyword phrase here and then click Analyze. If you need some help, do keyword research first. You can always shoot us an email if you're having a hard time figuring out what kinds of keywords, what kinds of topics to rank for, or what a particular article should be optimized for. So if you want some feedback, some help, some advice, you can reach out to us anytime. We have a private Discord community for all WriteBlogger users, whether you're on a free plan or a paid plan, that you can come join and you can get quick access to us there, or you can shoot us an email to contact@writeblogger.com anytime, and we are super happy to help. But for now, let's dig into this example. So I've got my target keyword phrase here, LLM SEO. I'm going to click Analyze. And behind the scenes, we're doing our thing here. We're going out, we're searching the first couple pages of Google search results. We're seeing, okay, what's already ranking at the top of Google search? And we get a really quick analysis here. Now, I want to walk through each element of these SEO reports, and then we'll talk about how to do something with this data, what you should do based on what an SEO report is telling you, because that's where the rubber really hits the road. That's where you see some real results with either updating and improving your existing content, or with seeing an article like this be tuned up from the start and positioned to rank near the top of Google. And so you're setting it up with the right kind of foundation. So Andy, Have I missed anything yet? Do you want to hop in at any point here? Please just jump in any time that you think of something too.
Well, one thing I want to say is if you're on your computer, Ryan, you can pinch to zoom on the website in Chrome just to show it a little bit bigger for
Ah,
people.
there
I
we
think that
go.
would be just so we can give
Whoop.
people a little closer detail there. I think that would be a good thing to know for you. Um,
How's
but
that?
yeah,
Is this
I
better?
think you got everything. Let me double check. Yeah, just so we can see a little bit closer to the reports. I think that's a great way to do that. Um, but yeah, overall, just this is a way to basically analyze the search engine results page and figure out what the article you're working on needs. And Ryan's going to show you the breakdown here of that.
Yeah, the short version is this is the checklist. This is the step-by-step progression to follow in order to optimize your content for high rankability on search engines like Google and then also inside the LLMs, right? So how you can encourage these platforms like ChatGPT to recommend your content as sources for people to go and learn more, or if people are searching for someone to help them with a particular thing, to perhaps go and hire you or see what kinds of ways they can work with you, joining a course, maybe becoming, a consultant, or you have some other products, services that you sell. And so this LLM SEO thing is a really important new chapter, and SEO reports are designed to help you with that too. So let's look at these elements here in the top right. As you can see, we've got sources right up top. And these are essentially what we have determined to be the top ranking pieces of content for this particular keyword phrase. So anytime someone searches LLM SEO, now we all know that Google results fluctuate all the time. So there's fluctuations, but generally speaking, these are 6 of the top links that are ranking right now. And we can see Reddit is here number 1, which is super fascinating. That
Of
tells us
course.
that it's a yeah, I mean, it's really interesting. We see that sometimes Google algorithm updates really favor forum sites like Reddit or Quora, and they'll push them up to the top for, a period of a few months, and then we often see that they'll kind of get, pushed back down a little bit. So a lot of fluctuation stuff here, but I also tend to think, and Andy, I want to hear what your take is on this too. I think when you see a Reddit forum or a Reddit topic ranking near the top for a particular query, that's usually a pretty good sign that a query is kind of changing a lot. It's like people are seeking to talk to others about it. And so to me, that kind of signals like there's an opportunity there. And it may be competitive to still rank for it, but that there is an opportunity to rank for these topics.
I definitely feel that for stuff that's not Reddit, but I definitely feel like Google, since they have a partnership with Reddit, you'll definitely see Reddit in general. Just like it feels like they just have a spot for any search engine result, which love it or hate it. I understand the concept behind it, but definitely Quora and things like that are I think a big indicator that you could make an article around something and really rank.
Yeah. Cool. I dig it. So here we've got our sources. And what I want you to really take away from looking at the sources is that if you want to click on one of these, you can just click and it'll open it in a new tab. It'll take you to the actual post or page itself. So if you want to be very, granular about how you do your research, then scan through some of these top ranking sources already. See maybe if you can figure out kind of, oh, why is this post already doing so well? But one of the biggest takeaways that I like to get from this sources section here is I like to learn from the titles, the headlines that Google is currently ranking up near the top. And so for the Reddit one, Reddit's usually a little more conversational, right? So you see how to run SEO for LLMs. Super conversational headline. That's not really how I would write or optimize a headline for ranking in Google search. So I'm going to disregard that one a little bit, but I'll take some cues from it. Here we can see LLM SEO in 2025, parentheses, 3 key strategies. That's a pretty good headline. It's a little on the shorter side. So this person's leaving some room on the table for perhaps adding a little bit more context or a little bit more meat into the heading. But this is pretty good. It's got the main target keyword phrase right at the front, which is very nice. People know that, hey, if I click on this, I'm going to learn about LLM SEO very obviously. It's got the current year in it, which is a really nice thing for something that's new, it's changing, it's evolving, right? And so that's another cue that I really like. And then in the parentheses here, there's a number, which I love. I love numbers and headlines. It gives people a really clear sense of like, okay, there's going to be three main things I'm going to learn from this. And then key strategies is also pretty good, so that I'm kind of getting the sense of like, if I'm just doing a Google search and I'm seeing, oh, this one's going to show me three key strategies, that's a really nice takeaway that kind of tells me, all right, this is what I'm going to expect. And so let's quickly look at the other ones. SEO for large language models, LLMs, kind of wordy, spells out the actual term itself, may not be necessary. People are starting to understand what LLM means, so I would probably not worry so much about that one. But this one, a comprehensive guide to LLM SEO, LLMO, and GEO. That's a really interesting one. We've got all of the different terms here for LLM SEO crammed into the headline. So there's the way that this is being talked about online is still sort of being figured out a little bit. Are people going to call it LLM SEO? Are they going to call it LLMO? Are we going to call it GEO? This term is still sort of being sorted out. So this person has chosen to stuff all of those terms in there. I don't personally love that. This one, how we're adapting SEO for LLMs and AI search. This one's a little more conversational. This one's maybe sounds a little case study-ish, a little bit like, here's what I've learned. And I think there's value to that, but I wouldn't necessarily run with that myself. And then finally, 7 large language model optimization strategies. Very literal headline, very straightforward. Not bad, but I think you missed opportunity by not having the words LLM SEO anywhere in the headline. So I know that was kind of a lot. I just wanted to show you guys how I like to really walk through carefully figuring out how I want to title something on my content. And what I'll do based on that is let's just make some live edits here to this article. And I'll show you exactly how I would create a headline based on what we saw from these examples and some quick insights from our score here. So I like having LLM SEO right near the top. And we know that for at least the meta title, the SEO title that displays in a Google search result, you've got about somewhere between 55 to 65 characters. Technically, it's calculated by pixel width and the actual space you have there, but usually 55 to 65 characters lands in there. This to me looks like it's a bit more than what I would actually want. And so I'm going to say LLM SEO. And again, taking some cues from what Google's already telling us is ranking #1. I really liked that they had X key strategies. Now, this is an interesting thing here. Our article writer knows that I usually write for bloggers, and so it added kind of this blogging bend to the title. But for this particular article, I want it to be relatively broad. I want it to appeal to anyone who's a website owner, a marketer, a blogger. Doesn't matter what exactly you are. If you're trying to figure out LLM SEO, I want to teach you. I want my content to be relevant to you. So I'm going to say LLM SEO. And then I'm going to leave the colon because I love having those in headlines too. And I'm going to say, I think this article called out 3 separate optimization strategies. So I'm going to say 3 best strategies for, and then let's just try this out. Large language, if we can type today, model optimization. Oh, wait. For large language models in 2025. I really liked having the year in the title. I think that's pretty important. Now, I don't know if we'll actually stick with this. This is kind of just the working title that I want to run with based on, again, the insights we've seen right here. So that's #1. That's how I like to really position the start of making edits based on what the SEO report is telling me. Now, let's drill into the SEO score. Andy, how am I doing? Have I missed anything yet so far?
The no, everything looks good, but your camera is off. So I just want to warn you of that. I'm freaking out over here personally.
Do I look blurry? Oh no.
No, 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 it's just off.
Oh,
Yeah,
the
not a big
camera
deal.
itself turned off.
Yeah, we can see your screen though, so I just figured I'd let you know.
Okay. We're going to do just a really quick swap here. And we'll
It
do
wouldn't
the
be a
back.
live stream without any technical issues.
It would not be. It would not be.
Let's see if we can get him back here.
Okay.
Here we
I'm
go.
not
Something's
sure.
happening.
Something's happening. Don't you love it? Oh, we've got
Well,
some menu items. Cool. Let's see if we can get those to disappear. Oh boy. How much fun is this, huh?
there we go.
There I am. There I am. Okay. We're back.
Things are going great.
Things are going great. Everyone's learning so much. You can see me
Yeah.
the whole time. It's awesome. Cool. Please definitely let me know if my camera dies again. I don't know what exactly happened there, but we're gonna keep going. So
Cool.
I want to take a peek here now at the score components of what this report is telling us. And so right here, straight off the bat, content score out of 100. The higher the score, the better the content, based on the primary keywords used in articles ranking for the keyword LLM SEO. So this automatic score of 37%, this is what the article was generated at using RightBlogger. This was the starting point. 37% is the score out of what all of these other pieces that are currently ranking near the top of search results has. And we've done a lot of sort of calculations behind the scene. Andy has several different things running in which we are determining what your actual score is. And what we want to really drive home about score is that the goal isn't to get it to 100%. I know we've got a lot of A plus students in our audience. I myself am a reforming A plus student. So I love to work towards that 100%, but with this, that is not the goal. In fact, if you try and get everything you make up to 100% of a score, you may be over optimizing your content. You may be doing too much. And so the real goal here is to be in the green zone. And green usually starts around, I think, 70% on this scale here. So if you're in the 80s, if you're in the 90s, that's going to be a pretty, like, I would say, as close to a perfectly optimized article as you would even want to be, because SEO scores will fluctuate over time as keywords and intents change as well. So what LLM
And
SEO means today could be different in the future.
And we should also take a step back of like the score is basically based on I don't know if you want to break down what the content structure is area here and the top keywords. You haven't
Yeah.
really shown the side here, but basically what it's doing is it's looking if you have certain keywords in your article. So that score is
Mhm.
really reflective of the keywords. Like that's the highest like correlation there. Ryan will go into full depth here about the keyword part in a minute here, but I think it's just an important note that that's kind of the fuel behind the score itself.
Yeah, this is the most important section here really is the keyword sections. This we've given you a very specific range of how many times you want to mention each of these particular keyword phrases in order for your content to be properly optimized. So, setting up your content for SEO success means making sure that you're talking about the right subject matter and that you're mentioning the important topics, phrases, keywords enough times throughout your article. And you can see here when you hover over any of these keywords, you get a really clear sense of where you're at with it. So the term chat GPT has been mentioned 2 times, and we recommend it being mentioned 3 to 5 times. So add one more is the piece of advice here. Very clear, very straightforward. Now, when you see something in the yellow, that means you've possibly mentioned it too many times. Now, something like SEO for this particular article, I'm going to give myself a gimme on this. Mentioning SEO a lot more times than the recommended range is going to be okay for this particular example, but I might want to consider removing some of them as not to be way over optimized. And when you've got a green check mark, you're right in the sweet spot.
And I really like to use it as like a directional advice, kind of how you always say, Ryan, like use it directionally. Like, oh, did I cover X topic? Did I, it's not really about the keywords themselves. To me, Google is smart enough to understand like the concepts you're talking about. So this is a great way to see if you are actually covering a concept. And yeah, a lot of articles that you generate with Right Blogger, we're working on adding the report kind of like on the first step and then generating. But you'll see the scores are, they always won't be hyper optimized for the report since you're doing the report after currently. So that's an important thing to know too. But generally, I think this is a great way to kind of like a jumping off point to see what topics you're not talking about in there.
Yeah, yeah, and on that note, we've gotten some fun requests from customers already who've been trying this feature out. Some of y'all, and we'd love to hear in the chat if you could drop in a comment, and maybe cast your vote. Tell us if you'd want to see a button that allows you to automatically or close to automatically. I'm going to be careful about what we promise here, but to in a one click or a few steps fashion click a button that says improve article based on the insights of the SEO report, and it'll automatically process and update over here to the content of your article. And I have a feeling a lot of people are going to see that, but I would love to see in the comments or in the chat if you're watching with us live, if you'd like to see improve button, drop the word improve into the chat or into a comment whenever you're catching this. I'd love to just see, is this something that you would use? And I have a hunch, yeah, because I think I'd like that too. I'd like to see, oh crap, this is only a 30, but I'd like it to be in the 80s or 90s. Click the improve button and process a whole bunch of changes over here to this article based on the content of this report. So vote for
We
that.
got
You can
we got a
pull it
few
over.
yeses. Also,
Nice.
and one from me too, even though I built it, but I definitely think it needs that. It needs that.
We can't build it all in one day, apparently, sadly.
Yeah, that's what I keep telling you.
Cool. So thank you guys. I really appreciate that. I know that's kind of a feature that we sort of knew going into this. All right, that's going to be the next version. And then also perhaps if you already know that specific primary keyword phrase you want to rank for, we may be doing something on the front side of articles whenever you create an article that allows the report to be kind of factored into the actual creation process, save you some time in the mix as well there. So before we dive into sort of the section on where I want to show you what to do about the insights in these reports and seeing all these zeros here on the keywords, I want to just quickly cover the four main areas right here. Under the content structure, we just want to show you word count, the number of headings, the number of paragraphs, and the number of images in your piece of content, your draft content, versus what we're seeing on the top ranking pieces up here. So this is, again, it's a comparison. This doesn't mean you need to be exactly within any certain sort of range here. There's always going to be variables in which Google may like your piece of content more than others. But on average, articles that rank in the top few slots for this keyword phrase have between 990 and 3,900 words. That's a really big one. So it's a massive range. Basically, anything from 1,000 words to 4,000 words is sort of what Google's wanting to see right now. I have a hunch, though, that it's this Reddit post that's in the 990 word spot. And Reddit, as we know, kind of punches above its weight class because of partnerships with Google and whatnot. So content, which is who my primary competitors will be, other content sites, other SEO sites, other tools that want to service people who are learning SEO, they are creating content probably a little closer to that higher end of the range. But I'm going to guess it's more like 1,500 to 3,000. That's kind of the sweet spot range that I like to be in for almost all of my content. That's a really good range to land in for SEO optimized stuff on just about any topic these days. There was a time in which 5,000 plus word guides were what Google favored for everything. And while that still may sometimes be the case, and I still see some of my guides that are lengthy ranking really, really well, but I don't think that's so much the case anymore. I'm seeing content that's shorter, but more straight to the point, more valuable, ranking faster and ranking higher. And that also aligns with what we do behind the scenes to make recommendations in here based on the LLM optimization side of things. So these platforms, AI platforms like ChatGPT, Claude, Perplexity, whatever you're using, Gemini, they like to see content that is very straight to the point, at least has something in the introductory paragraphs about giving a really quick, clear, concise answer to people. And then you can expand on what all of that means later on throughout your content. But we've been seeing SEO tip and AI optimization tip here. We've been seeing that content that has a really clear intro with a simple, really easy to understand answer, and maybe some bullet point style formatting options, or maybe a box that clearly signifies it as a key takeaways section. These are the kinds of things that you really want to nail now in your introductory section. And so to round this section off here, headings were right in kind of the sweet spot, 10 between 4 and 27. Paragraphs were on the low side. That one may or may not be so important, but I think landing in this range is generally going to be a good best practice. And then images. We've got one that I just asked AI to create here inside this article, and it looks like a pretty good one. It's it's relevant. It matches the themes and the topics we're talking about, but I think that's on the low side. And what this suggests to me too is that anytime you're teaching something, you're probably going to want to show some visuals of how to do it. Now, this topic screams make a video about it, because it's something that you can really be way more descriptive. You can show in more granular detail if you teach about a topic like LLM SEO through a video, which I absolutely have already done. By the way, if you want to learn about LLM SEO and how to nail your SEO with AI, we have a course on Right Blogger that's available for all of our Right Blogger Pro and Up members. It's called SEO Mastery. You can find it here in the Learn drop down. Just click on courses. You'll be able to track that course down. So if you want to learn more about this topic, we talk about it inside this course. Now, back to our optimization. I want to transition into a stage now of showing you what to do about all the insights we're getting inside this report. Now, when I look at this report, I see that immediately there were a bunch of keywords that weren't mentioned at all. You see these 0x's, right? And I want to approach these kind of based on how I would problem solve creating a better, stronger article. But before we dive into that, let me just show you exactly how you can kind of manipulate the score for this report. I'm going to click the copy all keywords button real quick. And you can see here we're a 37 score. If I just drop all of those keywords right in here in one giant stuffed paragraph that makes no sense to anyone or anything, we immediately jumped up to 50%. So you can see the direct correlation, the impact that having the right keywords will have on your content being better positioned to rank. Now, as I said, please do not do this. That's the fast track to getting your content basically deranked by doing what's called keyword stuffing. Search engines have never loved it, and I think AI likes it even less. So don't game the system with this. The goal here is to, again, guide you towards topics and terms that you need to be covering in order to be relevant and useful to real people, and as a result, to the search engines, to the LLM platforms out there. So looking at these, we can see there's a lot of zeros, right? A lot of zeros, a lot of unoptimized content. And one of the things that jumps out at me immediately. Now, put your little problem solving cap on here. This is where you need to think as a human, not as the robot, right? Now, I want to see what I'm going to learn from this report. And the thing that jumps out to me first and foremost is that I have no mentions of Claude, Perplexity, DeepSeek, I only have 2 mentions of ChatGPT, which is the world's most popular LLM. And that just immediately screams, whoa, this is way under optimized on this. How can I expect my content to rank at the top of search or be recommended by AI tools if I'm not even talking about the models themselves in the article, right? So that jumps out to me. AI models, we can see that one's also a 0. So what I would do immediately in response to that, and again, problem solving, we tackle one problem at a time. I know it can feel overwhelming looking at a wall of zeros here, but I promise you it will not take that long. And we're going to just start by showing you my outlining process here. I'm not going to make you suffer by watching me actually physically type out every sentence of how I would optimize this article. But what I would do based on this is clearly I need to make a new section that talks about the popular AI models in use today, and maybe even giving a little bit of nuance on perhaps who makes these AI models, who makes these separate LLM platforms, and maybe use cases on what they're best at, right? That would be kind of the ultimate way to do it. Now, I sort of went with a title here that suggests 3 strategies I'm going to teach in this article. And it's very important to me that I get the most valuable stuff up higher in the article. So I want to just make sure that I'm keeping an eye on these strategies. Okay, so here's where these strategies are. We've got them listed out 1, 2, 3 real quick. And then I'm going to make these very clearly a list here, and I'm
And I just
probably
wanted
going to
to
pull this section. Yeah.
I just wanted to add Mark's comment here. He talks about making an SEO report, then copying the keywords, and then rerunning your render with the keywords in the keyword field. So that's a great way to use SEO reports, and hopefully something that we can add um, ourselves, like that you all can do automatically, basically.
I like that. For now, where would you recommend putting those keywords? If you were to do that, would you say in the additional instruction section, say something like, you know, also include mentions of these alternative keyword phrases or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, cool.
You,
I
you
like
can also
that.
use
Thank you.
the you can also use the AI editor in Write Blogger and highlight things and have it generate content, or do slash and then have it generate like a paragraph of what you're talking about there with like, make sure to mention perplexity and things like that. You can write anything you want in that field there on the top. So yeah, there's kind of multiple ways to achieve it, but we're hoping to add a way where you can just do it with one click and not have to kind of work around that.
I love it. Beautiful. And also on that note of something that's coming soon too, we will be highlighting the keywords that are mentioned from the report inside the article. So you'll be able to see very quickly where mentions are of these terms and phrases. They'll kind of jump out to you in a very a light kind of a highlight, something that won't be obtrusive or harsh on the eyes. But getting back to where we were, boy, are we going down rabbit holes today. AI models. This article is very clearly missing an important section on AI models. And if I were to pop open some of these sources, I can guarantee you there's sections that talk about AI models on there as well. So what I'll do is I'll find the appropriate place within this article for me to talk about AI models. And before I can even add that appropriate place, what's bugging me is that I want the real meat of my content to be at the top. So I'm going to just move the real, like, hardcore useful section of this article up to being closer to the top. Now, I think it comes perhaps after what is LLM SEO and why should you care about it. But I'm not too sure if it should go before or after LLM in simple terms. Maybe we'll drop it in here just afterwards, because not everyone who wants to learn about LLM SEO wants to also know the details of how large language models work. Some people will, but not everyone cares. Some people want to just get straight to, hey, what do I do? Right. And so I like optimizing my content for the user, for the real person who's going to be trying to make decisions improvements to their content, to their business based on it. So I'm going to say getting this top 3 takeaways that someone's going to need up near the top is important. Now I can kind of more freely play around with this article and weave in this section on AI models. Now, maybe we'll want to add something in here that says talk briefly about the top few AI models. And that'll include Chat GPT, Claude, Gemini, oops, let's say Google Gemini, and Perplexity. Now you can see the SEO report is live updating as I talk about, as I'm adding to the actual article over here. We want to say DeepSeek. That was one I missed as well. Now, we may still be under optimized for some of these specific AI models that I've got mentioned here, but you can see that some of them actually popped over into the green column. And Andy, I'm noticing a bug, I think, based on like how I
I'm on
swapped
it.
out a report just before we went live. I think I triggered a bug based on that. So there's a little bit of
There's
some
always
funky.
something.
We optimized some keywords that were up here before, and once they got
Mhm.
optimized, they turned into optimization down here, which I love. But that's something that we'll have sorted out here today. I want to just show you. Um, I would add the quick mention up here near the top because that slides it in near the top of the article. And these are really important AI models to be mentioning in anything about LLM SEO. So I want them mentioned up here, but I want that whole dedicated section to it still. This is not enough. This is too surface level. You can see total word count for this article is 1,063 words right now. This is a first draft, but this is at the very low end of what is currently ranking, right? And so we've got a lot of room to play with. That tells me that I can be pretty, detailed in how I talk about anything I'm adding to this article. Now, I think that a section about what are the top AI models today, let's say, I think that goes really well under the umbrella. Maybe I'll turn this into an H3 here. I think maybe we can make this its own larger section, and then we can talk about the AI models here inside of it. Now, this sounds a little bit more like a conclusion to me. So maybe I'll bump that up to an H2. I'll end up calling this something like key takeaways on LLM SEO and what to do about it. And I'll say right here under this section, how large language models work in SEO. This is a cool area to talk a little bit in a more detailed way about these AI models themselves. Now, let's see. AI large language models work. I would even consider adding AI models into a headline here. Google, LLMs, all these platforms really like to scan headlines to make sense of what articles and content is about. So having that into a headline is going to help me too. And then let's say here, we want a header 3 section. We want to talk about 5 top AI models, and we'll call them large language models in use in 2025. And let's say popular. 5 most popular AI models. Okay. Now, I'll do a little kind of intro sentence or two right here, and then I'll jump into either actual H4 elements if I wanted to really build this section out into something lengthy and much longer. But for the sake of this example, I like lists. I like lists a lot. And so I'm going to say, let's do a numbered list. And I'm just going to say Chat GPT, and then we'll do a description, why it's great, what it's best for, who it's best for. And I want to do essentially the same thing here for all of the other AI models that we wanted to mention. So we wanted to get Perplexity. We wanted to get Claude. We wanted to get Gemini. I think Google's just calling it Gemini now, pretty much. And we wanted to get DeepSeek for sure. And maybe that rounds out all the ones that we want to do kind of a deeper dive on here. But now we've got transition the sentence back to key reasons below. And so this is how I approach outlining changes and updates that I want to make to content. And as you can see, this is a little more time consuming than clicking a button that says improve based on the details of a report. So we want to try and get that out on the sooner side for you guys as well. But just know that even a one-click button that improves your content based on an SEO report doesn't mean you're going to be done with your optimization work. It's not going to guarantee content that can be published and automatically jump up to the top of search results. That's something that you're still going to want to review yourself and make sure you do that kind of qualitative analysis here and see, okay, what things are missing. And so back on that point, I noticed another glaring hole in this article, and it was what factors are taken into consideration for LLM SEO. And you can kind of back into what that hole is in the article by seeing the keywords that aren't yet mentioned. Structured data. If you know anything about SEO, that's basically creating the really clear in schema markup language, creating clear pieces of schema where you're feeding actual tidbits of information from a technical perspective to LLMs, to search engine algorithms. And so clearly there needs to be a section in this article on the factors of what make up LLM SEO. And some of those are topic clustering, original data, brand mentions, link building, factual statements, schema markup. This is basically adding that section is going to take up most of the rest of the holes that we have here. You can see some other holes, GEO, generative optimization. Maybe we'll add a section a little bit below talking about the other terms that are being thrown around for this, and we'll cover those bases there. But what's important here is that we spotted the other big hole in this article based on what this report's telling us. And so now I want to figure out, all right, where do I want to add this new section on the key factors, the key considerations, right? And I'll take a look at what we already have. We can see under the 3 strategies areas, we do talk about some of this stuff in here, but maybe we're using some different words. Maybe we're not using the right key phrases, the right types of things that people are searching for, the right phrases that the AI models and the search engines want to see. So I'll take that into consideration as I'm making edits and updates. But this section, we're going to gear it around actionable strategies. So I want to have a quick section before that, a quick section that just really outlines the most important factors for LLM SEO. And maybe we'll even want to Frankenstein this section into being a hybrid of defining these terms and talking about the factors as well. So let's do that. Okay. Key, whoops, if I can spell today, key LLM SEO factors, and maybe factors is going to be right in simple terms. Why not? Let's start with that. Maybe I'll revisit this and tweak it up a little bit. But here we've got this, what LLM means, what it's focused on. It's got bullet points really quick running through that. And then let's jump down to right here and say, here are the key factors and considerations that LLMs are evaluating for SEO purposes. Now, I want to add a list here because this is where we're going to get a bunch of these 0 mentioned terms actually woven into the article. So we'll want to talk about user intent because I believe this is probably the top most important one here. That's a hole in our article, is creating content that actually matches user intent. And so I'll describe what that means. We'll give an example, and then we'll move on. And so we've got user intent. We want to have factual statements. We want to have original data. Maybe we'll put that one near the bottom because that's not super necessary. It's a nice to have. If it's a kind of a superpower if you like to do original data research, but not necessary for every piece of content. Topic clustering, super important. Brand mentions, yes, absolutely. We want to have structured data. We wanted to have schema markup mentioned. And there was some other stuff, from the report. I had something like link building. Let's see here. Link building. That's important. So we'll have a bunch of these added into the article. And you can see we're now to a place where we've just got a few keywords that haven't been mentioned at least once in the article. And I know my camera died. I'm sorry about that. We've got technical difficulties here, but I'm not going to worry about that for now. We'll try and get it back online before we wrap up and when we jump into a Q&A section here shortly. But for now, let's wrap up our optimization process here. You can see this quick bug we're going to fix here. These were all of the terms that during our update process, we moved into the green category, and our score has bumped up as a result. It's not quite in the green territory because we've got stuff mentioned once that should be mentioned 4 to 5 times. We've got things that are still zeros. So we're not quite 100% done, but I wanted to just give you an idea of how you can go about taking an article, getting an SEO report for it, and then making some changes, some improvements based on that. And so what I would do from here is spend another half hour or so tuning up this article, getting all of these pieces dialed in, and then we're going to be in really good shape. Then it'll be in the green zone. But I will spare all of you watching me try and do that. And I want to just move on real quick to show you that you can still use the SEO reports inside all of our tools that have this editor function to it. Let's click Show SEO Report. You can see here for this article in particular that I made based on a video. This is our video to blog tool. Here's what the score was. And I would just do a similar process of tuning this one up based on the changes that I'd want to see in an article in order to rank for this topic keyword phrase: overcome fear of change. Okay, that's the last of what I wanted to do from my screen share perspective, other than to say real quick that if you want to go deeper onto all of these subjects, please take our SEO mastery course. This is included for everyone who's a Right Blogger Pro and Up subscriber. That does mean you need to be on one of our paid plans, but we plan to drop many more premium courses. We'll add some more courses to the free library over the coming months as well. But the premium courses, what you'll notice is that we do go a bit deeper on the topics we cover. And so this course has 3 hours and 26 minutes of video instructions. We've got 9 different lessons here where I go through everything about SEO that you need to care about today. And I take out all the fluff. This is really straight to the point, directly useful stuff. And we give you some fun homework assignments. We give you recommendations on tools. We give you some checklists here. There's an SEO on-page SEO checklist you can download from this lesson that shows you just step by step what you need to do to make sure your content's optimized. And we've got a whole lot more, but we don't have that much time. So last but not least, just wanted to say a few other new things inside Right Blogger that Andy's been cruising on lately. He's really been getting a lot shipped. Now on Right Blogger Pro and Up plans, you can also add a team. You can invite people. I'm on the business plan, so I have up to 3 team members I can invite here to join my account, and they'll be able to access the
You had that
content
mixed up,
inside
Ryan,
my
just so you
account.
know. It's only one for the
Yeah.
business, so it's only on business plan.
Oh, I got you. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
My bad. On the business plan, it's only one. This is an admin thing. But yes, now you can invite people to join your account and to be able to access your content. This is really good if you have virtual assistants, if you have a content manager, if you have someone that you want logging into your account, but you don't want to give them your password, you don't want to go through that whole rigmarole. They will have their own user account within your plan through this. So that is live now. Please go nuts if you are on the business plan. And then last but not least, I just wanted to show real quick, we've made some really fun updates to what you can do with the Tool Studio tools inside RightBlogger. So these are the embeddable tools that you can add to your website. And you can now customize the background color. You can customize the button color. You can get pretty crazy with it. You can do custom CSS here. And on our business plan, you can also remove the watermark. You can even do some more custom and highly detailed customizations to these actual embeddable tools. But Andy, do you want to add anything to that before we jump over to a Q&A session?
I think you covered everything.
Okay, cool. I'm gonna see if I can get my camera working again. I don't know what's up
Please,
with that today, guys.
please, we need you back.
You
And
need me back.
Steve has a question. We have some questions here. And if anybody has
Ooh,
questions,
cool.
definitely leave them in the chat.
Line up some questions for us, guys. Please do. I'm gonna grab a new camera battery, and I will be right back on camera.
All right, I'm going to bring up Steve's question here about. I don't know if Ryan can hear me right now, but well, he
Oh
didn't say
yeah.
anything. So oh, we can. Okay. Our list. Let me bring this up here 1 second. Are listicles still relevant in meta titles since AI overviews started? I'd love to hear what Ryan says about this, but to me, I would say yes. I assume, Steve, that you mainly mean like a list at all, like a general having a number in the title. I think that's always a great thing to have on your meta descriptions.
Yeah, I would also agree with that, Steve. I think my camera's working again now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. I'm alive, I promise. So, listicles. Yeah, having list-based titles is still a really good way to stand out to humans in search engine results. So anything that's like kind of designed around catching the eye of a fellow human is going to be a pretty good best practice as long as you don't overdo it. So as you could see in that article that I was just working on here in the stream, I was building that one around kind of a listicle style approach. Three best strategies for LLM SEO. I'll probably play with that title a little bit still and see what kind of feels right. But I would consider leading it with the three, with the number of strategies, the number of takeaways in that article. I think listicles are still awesome ways to lead from a title perspective, as long as the subject matter of the content does go into enough depth that it provides the right amount of value to people who land on it. So if I were to just have a listicle of the three, best LLM SEO strategies and it was 100 words on each of them, that's not really going to fly. The content needs to sort of also deliver on the expectations, but short answer, yes.
And we have another question from Matthew. I don't know if you can see it here, Ryan, but let me see. He just added a couple more detail, I think. But I think it's about SEO optimization for nonprofits.
I've been saving a playlist of the best videos and getting courses, but never prepared when actually building on my site. Yeah, that's super interesting, Matthew. Okay, so definitely highly recommend our SEO mastery course because that goes into a lot more depth and gives you some like really clear sort of step-by-step tutorials, actions to take, real things to do that have a direct positive impact on SEO. And if you have questions, if you want more resources, we've made tons of advice content, tons of step-by-step walkthroughs on these topics. So shoot us a note anytime. Catching us in the Right Blogger Discord is a great place to do that, rightblogger.com/discord. We'll get you in there. But yeah, short answer, I think, to try and give you a quick answer to your question, you're trying to do SEO for a nonprofit. What would we do? Right. And so I think about what are the goals you have with your SEO strategy? Do you want to bring more donors to your website? Do you want to increase your reach for some other potential goal? I'm not really sure what your goal is, but once you know what your goal is, who you want to bring to your website and what you want them to do, what action you want them to take, then you can kind of back into, from an SEO perspective, what you would do. Now, if you're wanting to raise awareness about the cause or the challenge that you're working with and you're trying to help better, there's going to be a bucket of content you'll want to do that's more educational around what the challenge is, what the problem is you're solving. But then there's also that content that you want to appeal to potential donors, or you could talk about ways that people can help, ways they can get involved related to the subject matter. And I'd point you towards our keyword cluster tool inside Blogger. That tool is really powerful. I can pull it up on my screen here. That tool is going to be really powerful for showing you what kinds of topics you need to cover for your website. And so let's just say, for the sake of example, what's an example of or Matthew, if you want to leave a comment, tell us what your nonprofit does. Like, what are you guys working on? We can just build out a cluster here real quick together. So I'll let you.
I think he's also worried that he doesn't have a physical location yet, but I still think you can make plenty of content before you have any physical location.
Yeah. Having your having a mailing address or a business office or whatever listed in the footer of your site is a good SEO best practice, but it's not going to make or break you. It's not that big of a deal. We have I think the address in the footer of Blogger's site is just what our business address is, but it's a virtual mailbox. It's not a real location where Andy and I are hanging out every day. It's just a place where our mail goes. So even having something simple like that, or like putting your home address, if you really wanted to do that, is an acceptable thing to do. But from the keyword clustering perspective, we won't go too far down this rabbit hole, but I'll just give a quick example here. Let's say,
also, if you haven't started a mailing list, an email list for your nonprofit, that's a huge. Definitely, always try to have an email list for any kind of website you have.
yeah. And so, quick example, I want to say something like pediatric cancer. Let's say your nonprofit is related to this.
Prison reform.
Prison reform. Yes. Okay. I didn't see that. Thank you.
That just popped
Prison
up.
reform. Dang, that's a good one. I love that. So what I'll do with this keyword cluster tool here is I want to build out a cluster of everything related to prison reform, because a big part of SEO is having topic clusters covering things that any website that's going to be deemed authoritative on the topic of prison reform needs to cover. And that's exactly what this tool shows you in the headers. These are the categories. Think of these as categories, and all the bullet points, think of these as individual ideas for posts, blog posts you could write, for pages you could have. These are the individual educational pieces. These are the topics. So if you build out a keyword cluster strategy, and if you run this example, Matthew, inside your account, you'll get something pretty similar to this. Don't worry about some of the details and nuance here if it's a little different on your end, but this gives you a really kind of a cheat code to what Google and LLMs want to see in a website that would like to reach people on the topic of prison reform. So this immediately gives you pretty much an endless list of keyword ideas. There might be 100 different ideas on this cluster.
And I think this would
these
be
are
a
all
good use case for the additional instructions too. So if you go back, if you just want to show the additional instructions field real quick. So Matthew, when you're doing this, you can actually fill out the additional instructions here and say, I'm working on a nonprofit website, so then it kind of will revolve all of the content around that. I'm actually not sure what AI will come up with, but it's great because
We
that field
love
you can
doing live
basically,
demos that push our
yeah.
limits here.
But it's great because that field you can kind of put whatever you want. Just give you more detail about what you're trying to do, and I think you'll get the results that you want to see.
Cool. Let's just see. That's a super quick instruction. I don't know if that'll necessarily give us a dramatically different set of results here, but it might have some sort of impact because with AI, the more prescriptive you are, the more clear you are in what exactly you want, like the better your results will be. And
It's pretty
this
similar,
might have
but
actually made some changes. It's pretty similar, but it might have made some adjustments.
yeah. Either way, it's a
Interesting.
great resource hub for you to get content ideas for any type of website or business you have.
Love it. Cool. So, Matthew, I hope that's helpful for you in choosing what some of those topics are going to be for your site that will make it more authoritative. And the reason why this is an important step to kind of highlight any gaps you have in your content around your site is because both search engines like Google, they have long wanted to see sites that are well rounded. They appear authoritative. They talk about all the key important things that would be important to be considered an authority in this space. And LLMs are the same. They may even want to see like super detailed stuff. Like if you focus specifically on prison conditions for your nonprofit or specifically on human rights in prison reform, then the LLMs will reward you greatly by going even deeper than this on these topics. Maybe you would even want to come back to the keyword cluster and build out an entire cluster just around the main category that you, let's say, specialize in. LLMs love to cite and recommend people, businesses, nonprofits that are specialists at their particular thing. If we've seen anything that's clear from what AI likes to recommend and send people towards, it's an expert at what you do. And the way you portray yourself as an expert online is you share everything that you know. You share all of the help, all of the learning, all the education that you possibly can. You give as much value as possible. And so when you do that, you position your entire website for success. You kind of get the rising tides lift all boats effect by being very comprehensive in everything you cover here. So, Matthew, I hope that's helpful. Yeah, please let us know if you have any more granular questions. We're happy to help. We're happy to guide you. The SEO mastery course, I think, is going to be a really good one for you too. If you're on one of our pro or up plans, please come take advantage of this material. It's why we make it. We want you to get the most value you can. We want to see you be as successful as possible. And I'll add as we kind of get towards the end of our question and answer section here. I know we've got another one from Dan. We'll get to you, Dan. But I just want to say, um, please let us know what you'd like to see more courses from. We plan to make a course on building a newsletter, how to build and use a newsletter to your own advantage as a business owner, as a marketer, as a blogger. We want to build a course that's related to video marketing, how to do the video content creation thing, how to publish content, video content on social platforms and get some sort of ROI on it. So those are some topics that Andy and I are kind of bubbling up to the surface for our next courses now, but we'd love to hear from you either in the comments in the chat or if you're in our Right Blogger Discord, let us know what kinds of topics you'd like to learn more about, and we're getting back on our course grind. All right, so Dan, we got your question here. So after writing the article, do I just input any word or keyword from the article to show the full SEO report details? Now, let me get back to our
Yeah, do you want to
example and I'll talk you
share your
through.
screen there, Ryan? Perfect.
Yes.
And yeah, we can kind of walk through this. So anytime you generate any piece of content, you could use the paragraph tool, for example, or the video to blog tool or article writer, any of those tools. But basically, after you generate, Ryan, can you hide the report real quick
Yes.
on
Does that
the
hide it? Oh
the
yeah.
main button there? on the top right. So basically, once you click hide on the top right. So
Thank
basically,
you.
after you generate content with Right Blogger, you'll see on the top right there'll be a show SEO report button. So you'll click that there, and that'll bring up the report.
And if
And
you've
then
not yet created a report, this is what you'll see first.
the AI will actually recommend a keyword based on the content you created. So if you basically the keyword is what you want to rank for. So when people type it into a search engine, and the recommended one basically looks at all of the content that you just generated and figures out what the intended primary keyword is. So you can see underneath the field there it says recommended, and you can just click that if you want to use the recommended one. And it'll pre-fill the area there, and you're off to the races just like that. And I think that should answer your question about kind of how do you get started with the SEO reports.
Beautiful. And Dan, I
And
saw
one
you
and
dropped
one
another question.
and once you generate one,
Um,
also you can select them at any point too.
yes, yes. And you can make edits. If you wanted to say go back, you could create a report about a different keyword phrase here. So you could, in theory, also optimize your content for multiple different keyword phrases. But I would recommend just doing one here and seeing how it goes. You can always see how Google ranks your content. You can always see if it picks up some LLM mentions within the first 2 to 4 weeks of your content being live. And then you can come back and retune it for a different keyword phrase if you want to make it more niche, a little less competitive, something like that. But Dan,
Also,
you
if
asked another
anybody,
question.
oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Andy. Go ahead.
I was gonna say if anybody has already used their limit for the SEO reports, definitely shoot us an email. We can reset that. I know it's kind of since it's new, we want to let people try it as much as they can. So we're happy to reset limits. Just in the first couple of months here as we get acquainted with it.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Anyone who's cool enough to still be watching us talk for this long, you definitely get some extra credits. Dan, let me answer your final question here, and then we're going to wrap up, guys. If you have any extra questions, please drop them in here right now in our last few minutes together. Otherwise, you can always join our Right Blogger Discord community, and we're available on there all the time. So, Dan, your last question: what is better, to let the search engine crawl my site for the articles, or is it better to submit an article URL to the search engine? Now, I assume what you mean is specifically going to something like Google Search Console and submitting a new URL as soon as you've published a new page or a post on your site, submitting it to be crawled by Google manually. That's okay to do. I think especially for sites that are newer, or maybe you don't have a ton of established domain authority, street cred in your space. I think that's okay to do. I wouldn't do that, say, every day or multiple times every single day. I think the more manual requests you make of Google to crawl your site, I don't know that there's necessarily a point in which you need to stop doing that, in which you would become annoying to the crawl bot. But I think it's something to use sparingly for important articles, or if you've published something on your site and you go check in Google Search Console, hey, has this been indexed yet after a couple of days or something? If it hasn't, click that request indexing. If you're using it sparingly, it's definitely not going to hurt. But as long as your XML sitemap is uploaded to Google, then everything you publish, any new URL that's added to your site, will automatically be submitted to Google anytime Google recrawls your robots.txt file, or that XML file rather. And so that XML file gets auto updated. It's usually crawled, I think, daily by most sites are crawled about daily, that XML file. And so as long as you've got that connected, you should be good to go. Andy, would you add anything to that? You're a little more
I was I
technically
was I was
savvy
gonna
than I
say
am.
the same exact thing. Is once you have the sitemap in there, I think you're kind of good to go at that point. Unless there's like an issue and you're not seeing something in the index for like maybe a week or two, you can kind of manually debug. But yeah,
Beautiful. Cool. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for the awesome questions. We always appreciate your involvement. This has been a lot of fun. Thank you Andy for making these super cool tools. And please, everyone, stay tuned for the updates we'll be rolling out soon. Let us know if you have any questions, and we are always here.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for joining.
Bye.